Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to start making my Christmas cake. Now this is a rich fruit cake which will eventually be covered with marzipan and then with royal icing. And I'm going to do this video in 3 parts. The longest part will be this first part, which is where I make the cake. And then having made the cake, I will soak that in some brandy, and I'll do that every week. Maybe 3 times, and then in the next part I will take the marzipan and cover the cake with marzipan, show you how to do that. Then in the final part I will actually make the royal icing and cover it with royal icing. Now a royal icing is different to what we use a lot these days, which is that fondant icing, which is the soft stuff that you can buy in the shop and roll it out and cover it. Royal icing is a hard icing, so it's made with icing sugar and egg whites and such like, and then it goes hard, and that icing on the cake forms a nice seal and keeps the cake nice and fresh for months and months and months if it's stored in an airtight container. Of course, the addition of the brandy into the cake also helps to keep it nice and moist. So the first thing to do is to take a cake tin 8 inches round and grease it and line it with parchment paper. Additionally, I have lined the outside with some paper as well. That's to try to get the cake to bake that little bit more evenly, so that the side of the pan doesn't heat up too much and cook the outside while the inside is still to bake. So having lined your cake tin, you want to preheat the oven to 150 Celsius, 130 Celsius with a fan, 300 Fahrenheit, and that's ready so that your cake will be able to bake at a reasonably low temperature. And then we'll go on to look at the ingredients. So for this cake I have 225 grams of plain flour, I have 4 medium eggs lightly beaten, I have 800 grams of dried mixed fruit which comes in a packet, sultanas, currants, raisins and chopped peel. I have 200 grams of dark brown sugar, 200 grams of butter at room temperature, 100 grams of glacé cherries which I've cut in half, another 100 grams of chopped mixed peel, and 100 grams of chopped or flaked almonds. I then have 1 tablespoon of marmalade, 2 tablespoons of black treacle, though you could use molasses instead of black treacle, and half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I also have half a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of mixed spice, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And the first thing I'm going to do is to pour the mixed spice, the cinnamon and the salt into our flour and just give that a stir around. And then I'm going to sift that into a bowl. That's just to get the spices combined. Now this cake is going to be very, very heavy. By the time it's finished, it's going to weigh about 6.5 pounds in weight, 3 kilograms, about 3 kilograms, or 2.9 kilograms in fact. Okay, so that's our flour and spices sifted. And the next step is to start creaming the batter. So we'll put the 200 grams of butter into the bowl, and we will cream that together with the 200 grams of dark brown sugar. And I start off slowly so that I don't get the sugar going everywhere until it actually gets coated by the butter and the butter begins to break down. And then I'm going to add in the marmalade, and the black treacle, which I greased this ramekin dish to help the black treacle to come out that little bit easier. And it has done just that. And our little bit of vanilla extract. And then I'll carry on creaming till this is nice and fluffy. So then what we want to do is to mix in the eggs a little bit at a time, maybe in 4 additions. So I'll pour some in and mix it, and then with the last addition I'm going to put a heaped spoon of flour in as well. The last of the egg in, and a spoonful of flour, okay, so that's done. So the next thing to do is to fold our flour into that mixture. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to take the bowl I had the flour in, and I'm going to pour all our dried ingredients in so that I can stir them together a little bit to break up some of the clumps of fruit. And to get the nuts, the chopped peel and the cherries mixed in with that dried fruit. I'll just give that a bit of a mix. As you can see, there's an awful lot of this. I say an awful lot. Excuse me. There's a lot of fruit here. I think that's given it a bit of a mix together. So we're then going to add that into our cake mixture, and we're going to stir it all together. Now, I've made this cake twice before, and I'm trying to recall whether I actually used a stand mixer, and I think maybe I did, but I can't swear to it. I just don't want to overmix the batter, that's the thing. That's why I'm doing it by hand. I want to get all the fruit mixed into the batter. And that's actually just about it, I think. It smells wonderful, I have to say, even at this stage. So, I'm going to take the cake tin and I'm going to spoon the mixture in. You could pour it in, but I'm going to spoon it in and push it down. Now, I did say that this is an 8-inch cake tin that you need. You could use a 7-inch square tin. But in actual fact, I measured this tin, and I've used it on the previous 2 occasions and it's worked fine, but it's actually only 7.5 inches. So that would be fine too. It just means that the cake will be slightly taller than if you used an 8-inch tin. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a slight dip in the middle of the cake. And the reason for that is that the cake is likely to rise when it's in the oven, and I want to try to have it as level as possible on top without having to cut any off if I possibly can when I come to finish it off. So I'll just scrape this extra batter out. And with that, I'm going to put this in the oven and let it bake for 3 hours. After 3 hours, I'm going to test it with a skewer, which should come out perfectly clean. If it doesn't, I'm going to bake it again for up to an extra hour, testing every 20 minutes to see whether it comes out clean. And as soon as it comes out clean, I'm going to take it out and allow it to cool for 15 minutes before turning it out of the cake tin. Once I've done that, I'll be back with you to show you the next step, which is to take some brandy and pour some brandy over the top as the first step of feeding our cake. So I'll be back with you when this is out of the oven and ready for the brandy. Okay, so I'm back with you now, and I've baked the cake for exactly 3 hours, and a skewer in the centre came out clean, so that means the cake is cooked. And here it is. I've taken it out of the tin, but at the moment, because it's still very warm, I've left the parchment paper on the bottom. I've taken the parchment paper off the sides, left it on the bottom. As you can see, it's a nice solid cake, and it's fairly level, although it does dip a little bit on this side, but that really doesn't matter very much, because when we put the marzipan on the cake and the icing, we can level it off. Or I could, if I wanted to, once it's completely cold, just skim the top off to make it completely level. Another option, of course, is always to turn the cake over and use the base as the top. Any option is good, but I'm going to leave mine exactly as it is, like that. When it's cooled down completely, I'm going to come back and show you that I put some holes in the top, and then I will drizzle this brandy. There's 3 tablespoons of brandy here. You need to drizzle 3 or 4 tablespoons of brandy into the cake, and then you'll wrap the cake up in aluminium foil and put it in an airtight container and leave it for a week. Then you can feed it again with 2 more tablespoons of brandy and then wrap it up again and put it away. And the following week you can do the same. In fact, you can do that for a number of weeks, but I'm only going to use today's brandy and then 2 more times, and then leave it for a week before I put the marzipan on. So I'll be back with you to do the feeding of the brandy once the cake has cooled completely. Right, so I'm back with you now, and our cake has cooled down. So what I'm going to do is make the holes in the cake and then drizzle the brandy over it, and then wrap it up and put it away for a week, and then do the same again in a week's time. So first thing is, with a skewer, just make some holes in the cake. And then drizzle the brandy. Now what I have here, before I do the drizzling, is I have the lid of the container that I'm going to store the cake in. So I'm actually going to lift the cake up and place it on this lid, and then I will put the top on like that. I've always found it's better to place the cakes on a lid and put the box on top, because it's very often difficult to try to get a cake out of a box, but it's very easy to take the box off the cake. So I'm just going to lift this foil up and put the cake on it, because this will stop any brandy that may drain from going everywhere. It will stay within that lid. And then I'll open it out again like that and take the brandy and just drizzle it, letting it soak into the holes. Now I'm only using 3 tablespoons of brandy. The recipe calls for 3 or 4, but I think that because I'm going to put another 2 tablespoons in next week, another 2 tablespoons the week after, that will be ample. As you can see, it drains in quite nicely. This is going to be very, very moist and very rich by the time we've finished. And basically that's it. So with that, I'm going to fold the foil up like that. And I have 2 pieces of foil because the foil I can buy isn't wide enough. Fold that one up like that one up like that. And basically that is our cake ready to store for a week. So I'll put the lid on and close it all up, and that will be it. In a week's time I'll take the cake out, do the same again with 2 tablespoons of brandy, leave it for another week, do the same with another 2 tablespoons of brandy, and then after that it's ready for the marzipan. And so I will be back with you with another video showing you the marzipan in what amounts to about 3 weeks' time. So you can, if you want to make a Christmas cake, you can do this stage, and by the time my next video is out, you'll almost be ready to do your marzipan as well. So in the meantime, I will be back with you with some videos for other recipes. So I'm not doing this exclusively, I'll do some other recipes as well. So I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen today. If you have, please give me the thumbs up and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. There'll be an eye in the top right hand corner of the screen which will allow you to get to the recipe for this. I'll also put a link for the recipe below the video, and as I do the other steps I'll put those links as well below this video. I'll keep updating each video with all the links so that you can get to everything from one video basically. And I will be back with you in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.